So once again, welcome to the session tonight on vision and planning. My name's Tim. I'm a club developer here in the Midlands, and I'm working tonight with my colleague John Critchlow, who's going to be in the background, keeping an eye on the chat box, helping out with any interactive parts of the session and assisting you with any technical issues. So if you do have any issues, obviously you can try that old chestnut, log out and back in, usually works, but please feel free to contact John in the chat box if you do need any assistance. This evening's session will be short and sharp. So we ask for your full attention, and just to maximise the experience for everyone, if you can stay on mute, please. We will invite people to come off mute at various points to interact, but if you can generally just stay on mute, then that's going to really help us manage the background noise and the sound quality for everyone. If you have any questions throughout, please do pop them in the chat box or raise your hand virtually and we'll be happy to answer. Alternatively, there will be some time at the end of the session when we'll have some time for questions and answers. As I said, we are recording the session and we will look to be wrapping up between 7:45 and 8 p.m. at the latest. So it is a really nice, short, sharp session. So the agenda, what we're going to cover tonight, first of all, we'll look at what is a vision and why we feel that all clubs would benefit from having a clear vision and underlying delivery plan. We're going to bring it to life, so I'm really pleased to have Stephen on from Birstall Rugby Club in Leicestershire. He's online with us this evening and he's going to talk through and bring to life the process as his club have literally just gone through this from start to finish, and they'll be launching to their members later this summer ahead of the 24-25 season. We'll look at what's involved, so we will go through the process with you, outlining each stage and how we as a team of club developers will be here to support you throughout. We'll look at how you survey your members. We'll look at the types of questions you might ask, and we'll also open it up because we haven't got all the answers. We will be looking for some suggestions from you. So again, this is an interactive session. And the next steps, finally, we'll look to wrap up and give you your next steps. We want you to leave this session this evening with tangible and clear ideas as to how you're going to make this happen. So firstly, what is a vision? A vision is the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. So it's the ability to see something in your mind's eye that is not yet possible or cannot yet be seen with the human eye. It's a mental picture that will be used to direct your actions. So we can imagine where we want to go and we get that picture of what that good looks like, and we can use it to direct our actions to help us get there. It serves as a guide and can be used to provide a sense of purpose. And finally, it should be aspirational and challenging. Please, please remember that. It's so important that if you write your vision and it's easy and it's simple and you think you can get there in a year, then it's probably not aspirational or challenging enough. It should be blue sky thinking. It should be really difficult. So the example I always use when I talk about visions to clubs is NASA. And NASA back in the 60s had their vision of man on the moon. So in 1962, President Kennedy visited the Space Center and he noticed a janitor carrying a broom. He interrupted his tour, walked over to the man and said, "Hi, I'm John Kennedy. What are you doing?" The janitor responded, "I'm helping put a man on the moon, Mr. President." So it's that joint purpose where we're all working towards a common goal. Now I'm going to show you a video which is about 3.5 minutes long. What I want you to do is I want you to think about and just make any notes or note anything down, perhaps pop it in the chat box of how you think there's certain things that I think that people say within this video that massively correspond with what we are looking to do as rugby clubs and how we want to work and how this sort of cross-references with the vision that a rugby club could have. So I'll play the video now. Feel free to pop them in the chat box and then we'll have a chat about it at the end.
Space is for everyone. We're all working towards a common goal. Just seeing people learn and grow and the community benefiting as a whole.
We have vendors from all around this country, and all of that's bringing in a lot of jobs and getting to work in our community.
I give back by seeing companies grow. My work means something. It provides people with the ability to feed their families.
Not everyone who works on the space program is is an engineer or scientist in a white lab coat, and there's vital roles.
Everybody at NASA is very teamwork driven. Nothing that we do here is done by itself.
All successful missions come from a team that works together, that is diverse.
And we each bring a different perspective to the team to help us achieve our goals.
There's literally an expert kind of within arm's reach that you can ask any question to, and you'll probably get one of the best answers in the world.
We take a lot of ownership in what we do. You get to see a lot of that passion, you get to see a lot of that drive. People want to do their best, people want to pull together to be a part of this program that's bigger than what any of us can accomplish on our own.
NASA does the trailblazing with technology. The kind of work we do, you can't rest on your laurels and say, okay, we're there. There's no end to what we can achieve, so we have to keep pushing ourselves.
In any airplane that I get on, it's exciting to think about, oh, this airplane probably at some point passed through many of our centers. We are with you when you fly. We are coming up with safer, newer technologies that are more silent, more energy efficient.
Just to be able to work here and be able to design and touch something that will one day travel to a new planet is amazing. I mean, it's indescribable.
NASA brings hope and inspiration by leading the world to space for the progression of all people.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for watching that. So perhaps John might want to just come off mute at this point, and just if there's any bits in the chat box, because I haven't got the chat box open, if there's any bits in there that what have people come up with?
Yes, we've got some common themes. Okay, so common goals appeared a few times. Teamwork's in there. People pulling in the same direction. Ownership, safe space to learn and grow. Passion, drive, teamwork again. For everyone, common goal, work within our community. My work means something. Team working together. Inspiration for all. Safe, new, energy efficient. Progression of all.
Yeah,
picking out some of them.
Fantastic. No, that's brilliant. Thank you, mate. So there's just a few that I sort of picked out and made some notes on. So literally 5 seconds in, the first lady on, she says, space is for everyone. We're all working towards a common goal. So there's a definite crossover there with what we would want to achieve through our vision and plan at a rugby club. So after 30 seconds, they say, my work means something. So we need to make sure that the work we plan and recruit for carries this same feeling. Not everybody is that front facer. 45 seconds in, similarly, not everyone who works in the space program is an engineer or a scientist in a white lab coat, and there's vital roles for everyone. So recognising that not all rugby volunteers are front facing, but their value is equal. They might be the person who puts the lines on the pitch, they might be the person who serves the beer behind the bar or cooks the sausages on a Sunday morning. Whatever it is, their value is equal to whoever is coaching the team and those front face or playing for the team, those front facing roles. So recognising that in our vision and plan is really important. After 49 seconds, everyone at NASA is teamwork, very teamwork driven. Nothing that we do here is done by itself. So collaboration to achieve success in our vision and plan will be absolutely key. And similarly, the next point is all successful missions come from a team that works together and is diverse, each bringing different perspective to the team to help us achieve our goals. So again, making sure our plan is linked and collaborative. There will be areas that cross over within our plan, and it's just we need to make sure and ensure that that's recognised and planned for. And the last point that I made notes on was people want to pull together to be part of this programme that is bigger than any of us can achieve on our own. So that joint sense of purpose. Break down the enormity of a vision into bite-sized, measurable and achievable pieces. Has anyone got any other bits that they noticed and that we've not spoken about, either John or myself? Feel free to come off mute at this point if you have, or we'll move on, no problem at all. All good. So sustainable development is about equilibrium, and to achieve this, a rugby club must balance all three elements and the 6 key drivers. So when we talk to clubs about this, we talk about it as a stool, a 3-legged stool, and we need to make sure that the effort and the planning and the resource that we put into each of the 3 areas is roughly proportionate, so roughly equal. So example is, if we wish to transition players, we need to consider, are the facilities sufficient and appropriate? Whether the club's management is robust enough to accommodate a growth in the club, and whether the club's finances are strong enough to support the changes. The 6 key drivers cannot therefore be considered in isolation, but rather as elements of the goal for stronger and ultimately more sustainable clubs. So sometimes a club gets out of balance where they might concentrate on one of the legs of the stool more than the others. So just a couple of scenarios for you. Environmental, a club doubles its membership and improves its governance but ignores the clubhouse. The clubhouse becomes run down and overcrowded due to heavy use and members no longer wishing to attend. The club is now in decline because it did not consider its environment. So again, we might have put loads of effort into 2 of the pillars, but we didn't concentrate or put any effort or thought into the 3rd area. Therefore, the club was still in decline. If we concentrate on people, a club invests its facilities and improves its governance and management, but does not recruit new players. The members get older and the club gets smaller, struggling to pay for costs of the clubhouse. The club is in decline because it failed to consider its people. So again, that balanced club approach. And the last scenario is the business. A club has a great facility and a pipeline of players coming through the local community, but it's poorly run with little planning or foresight. A legal matter could arise, the club is not prepared for it, and the club goes into decline as its reputation could be hit by legal issues and financial penalties. So really, really important that as we think about our vision and we build our underlying plan of how we're going to deliver that vision, that we do it in a balanced way using the balanced club approach. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get interactive at this point. So I've just turned on the annotation tool. So what we'd like you to do now is, if you hover over the top towards the top of your screen, you'll see a heart in the middle, add reaction. If you click on, then it will give you a number of different reactions that you can add, ticks, crosses, various different things. Doesn't matter which one, feel free to put whichever one you like. And what we'd like you to do is mark the screen above the arrow. Where does your club currently consider itself? Are you entrenched in the day-to-day running of the club? Then put a stamp on the left-hand side. Are you somewhere in the middle, or are you really good, forward-thinking? You're strategically planning, and you're putting loads of time and effort into your strategic planning. So I'll give you a couple of minutes now, and just before we clear this, John's going to take a screenshot of it, and then we'll move on. Perfect. So keep those stamps coming. There's about 34 people on the call, so however you want to make the stamp, that's absolutely fine. Anywhere above the line's fine. So we've got a couple over on the right hand side, although one of them I think then drew an arrow to say they were a bit further left, which is fine. Mostly sort of in the middle towards the left, that entrenched in the day-to-day running of a rugby club, getting 15 men or 15 women or age grade kids onto the field. So I'll give you another 20 seconds on this. If you can just find your stamper, mark as to where you are currently. So this is where you are right now. Okay, John, do you want to take a screenshot of that? Let me know when you've done it and I will clear the screen.
Yeah, mate, do it.
Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to do exactly the same, but this is where we would like to be. So now we're looking at where would you like to be? Same thing, mark above the line, please, so it's nice and clear for us. Would you like to be where you are now, which was generally over this side, the day-to-day running, or would we prefer to be a little bit more towards the strategic planning end? So if you just, again, love this. Keep those coming. Again, there's 35 on the call, so let's try and get everyone if we can. We'll give you 30 seconds. Perfect, so almost there, last few. Okay, John, so if you want to take a screenshot of that. Someone's found the star.
Yes, mate. Done.
Perfect, thank you. I'll clear those and turn off annotations. Great stuff. So thanks for that. That just gives us a really good view of where people feel they are now and where they would like to be. So quite an important thing for us to try and get right on that. So at this point, I'd like to hand over to Stephen. Stephen's the Director of Rugby at Birstall Rugby Club in Leicestershire. Recently worked through this process from start to finish with a small and dedicated number of volunteers at their club. Stephen's just going to talk you through the next sort of 4 or 5 slides that he's put together on the process and how they went through it. So Stephen, over to you.
Thanks, Tim. You're right. So yeah, as Tim said, I'm Steve. I'm Director of Rugby at Birstall. Took over last year. Have been with the club for 3 years now. So a little bit of an introduction about the club. So we're known as the Green Dogs. It's kind of our gimmick, our brand, our identity in terms of our nickname. So we've been around for about 50 years. It'll be a 50th anniversary in 2025. So relatively young club. We've had a series of successful seasons from 2018 to 2023. Including back-to-back promotions, a few cup wins. But this year, we got up to level 7, counties 1, and that's proved to be our Everest. As Tim says, the rugby's gone well, but then the resources in the background have kind of dried up a little bit. The volunteer base has kind of dried up, and we've really been struggling to maintain that success. Like I said, we're a level 7 club, soon to be level 8. We're going down next year, which is probably our level. That's probably where we want to be, level 8 next year. That's where we can really rebuild. We've had multiple teams over the years, but much like a lot of clubs in the country, we're now down to, we've lost player numbers. We're very much a one-team club now, so it's just managing that one squad. Before I came, I had a conversation with the chairman last year about where Birstall wanted to go, where what their vision was, what their 5-year plan was, and they're very much a club that just takes things one season at a time. I mean, they've had a lot of good success, but that long-term planning just hasn't been there over the years. So that's kind of led to, we've got this decreasing number of volunteers, which I feel probably resonates with a lot of the clubs in the country. And we're very much in need of some long-term planning and a vision. So that's why I reached out to Tim and we went through this process. So the first step that we did was I put out, obviously, we're known as the Green Dogs. So I really wanted to answer the question, what does it mean to be a green dog? Not every club has an identity or a tagline or a gimmick, but it's more than just being a gimmick. It's about having some core values and having something to share. So this is slightly different to what the RFU kind of recommend, but the first question we asked, put a survey out. It was as simple as a Microsoft form, put it out to to the members. It was 3 simple questions. What makes a perfect green dog? What makes a successful club? And what developments would you like to see in 5 years? And the hardest part of the job is getting respondents. You got to chase up weekly, keep them updated, keep them really enthused. This is a really good thing. This is going to drive success moving forward. Come on, let's get some real buy-in. Had a little bit of an incentive. So once we got to 50 responses, I gave everyone a free drink after Club Touch. It was a nice little event after that. It's nice to celebrate achievements, celebrate those little wins. And then with the data, so the Microsoft form is brilliant. It just puts everything into a spreadsheet. Kind of to sift through the data and collect, kind of get hold of the themes of what was coming across in that feedback. A good tool we used was ChatGPT. It's the new OpenAI. Got to be really careful with how you use it because it can lie to you and it's not as intelligent as we want it to be at the minute, but it is very good at this sort of stuff, at sifting through data and picking out key themes. So we made use of that. And then from that, we released another survey for members to rank the suggestions that they made. So we took all the themes and we put it back out to the members to see where there was overlap in terms of their ideas and what they thought was important. So that's how we gained the feedback across the club. Next slide, please. Okay, so after that, from that, we identified 3 core values. We found that as a club, our core values are positivity, commitment, and togetherness. And that's really kind of we've really been pushing that this year. We will continue to push that in terms of that's what drives us. That's what makes a green dog. The togetherness, particularly, there's the community feel that we have is something that people tend to mention a lot as being a real positive. So we really want to push that. The remaining data and all the themes that we collected from both surveys, we started to draft a purpose and a mission statement. And then we sat down, we arranged a meeting with Tim. He came down, he sifted through what we had, and that was where we really got into the meat of it, because you have an idea of, or I had no idea really, what does a purpose look like? What does a vision look like? What does a good mission statement look like? And Tim really helped us pick out the important parts and start telling those, what is your vision? Okay, what's your mission? How are you going to achieve that? And then what are the key pillars? What are the key parts of success? And then what are the goals you want to set within that? So, once Tim sat us down, I think it took us an hour. Once we've established kind of our pillars, we went back as a committee and sifted through and finished the vision, the mission, and the pillars ourselves. And I think we've got it on is it the next slide? Oh no, what now? Sorry. So before we got into the last one. So what we're doing now is we're due to release that vision next month. And that's the big terrifying thing. We've just spent, don't be put off by how long this might take you. I mean, the committee at Birstall the active parts of the committee is probably about 4 of us. So very much like a very small group trying to keep the club going. So things take time. So it's taken us best part of a year to put this together. We're due to release it in May next month. And it's about making a big deal about it. It's about, well, what's different? Because I've been to different rugby clubs and the members are just like, oh, it's just the committee doing what the committee does. It's about how you change that and really try and engage your members to be a part of this. We're trying to, this is where we want to get to. We need your help. We need to do X, Y, Z to get there. The event will have, a few incentives, big club touch event, normal and walking rugby, trying to get all ages across over to this event, followed by a nice free food and beer event where we can launch this vision. We've put together a bit of a promo video, short presentation, but it'll be more about kind of, here's a bunch of projects, get involved. And that's something we really want to do, rather than it being like a fission, a one hit night. We want to make it an annual thing, almost like a pick a project. So we'll have these pillars, we'll have these different goals, and come down, get involved, see where you can add value to this rugby club to make sure it moves forward. So yeah, hopefully it will be an annual event. So yeah, finally on the last slide here, we've got this is our vision. So Birstall Rugby Club, next 5 years. It's absolutely critical. We've really been pushing these core values, and that's kind of what sets the tone with the whole vision. So our vision is Birstall Rugby Club aims to be a thriving, welcoming and inclusive family rugby club at the centre of the Birstall community. We felt it really important to mention family. It's a really safe place to be, and that's what we really wanted to push, make sure that everyone feels a part of Birstall when they come here. The mission is using our core values will enable our stakeholders to flourish on and off the field. So this was very much, the wording can be, and still needs iterating. We're still getting there before the main release, but it's more about, if you're part of Birstall, we'll look after you. And that's very much the message we wanted to get across. And I think when you're thinking about your missions and your visions, it's about, well, what makes your club your club? And hopefully your members will give you that feedback and you will have those themes pull up through the data. And then we found we have 5 key pillars. It doesn't have to be 5. I've seen other visions that are, 4 or 6. We went with environment, finance, rugby, relationships, and community. Environment is what we control. That's within Birstall. So that's very much, the teams, what happens in the bar, what happens, at Birstall. Community is a step outwards. So we really want to start engaging a bit more with the Birstall community. And then relationships is, again, another step outside that. So you might see those 3 pillars and be like, oh, they're very similar. That's how we've distinguished those 3 things. And finance, without any good finance, no club, rugby club will survive, as Tim mentioned in the previous slide. And obviously a rugby club is there for rugby. So, and from that, we've kind of established, we had a list probably about 30 odd different aspects or goals we could put together. It's about filtering through the most important ones that you think, well, that's what we need to do. That's what's going to get us there. And it might come when we release the vision, it might come, we have some more suggestions and we might iterate, and we might just tweak this slightly so that we have different goals and different plans in place. But this at least gives us a starting point. So yeah, thank you.
Steve, that's absolutely fantastic. Thanks so much. Really good time now. While we've got Stephen, if you can just, if anyone's got any questions that they want to either pop in the chat box for Stephen directly about how it worked or how they did it, or anything that you want to sort of question on, then feel free to come off mute and do it on the with your voice, or by all means pop them in the chat box and we can pick them up as we go as well. Has anyone got anything sort of immediately jumping out at them that they'd like to ask Steve?
Yeah, Dan Hall from Saffron Walden.
Hi Dan, yeah, go for it.
Hi, how you doing? Hi Steve. That's really interesting, very similar to our situation. But just one quick question. Did you need to persuade the existing committee that change was needed, or was it quite clear to them?
The committee knew that change needed to happen, that we needed a plan, but they're very much entrenched in that day-to-day running the club. So like, who's going to help us? And you find the previous club I was with as well, we had a similar sort of issue where there's a disconnect between members and the committee. The committee don't feel like anyone wants to help. The members have no idea what's going on. So there's that real hard part, isn't there, in trying to bridge that gap. It's, we put out the data, we've got that view. That was a nice start point in terms of getting that feedback and going, oh, hang about, people actually care. That was a nice start point. And then once they see that those little wins, the committee start being a bit more on board with it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, Dan. Any more? All good. Well, thanks again, Steve. And I know Steve's going to sort of. Oh, hang on. There's one more just coming in the chat box, I think. John, is that right? Flashed up.
Yeah, I'll just read it out. Steve, you mentioned you are going to present the vision via video. Is there a reason for this? Do you have any junior or children at your club as well? And there's another one after that as well. I'll come to.
No worries. So it's about creating a fuss. So we've put together almost like a 2-minute kind of promotional video. You might want to do it differently. You might want to go on the socials. Nowadays it's about engagement, isn't it? And trying to infuse people. It will be an evening. We'll release the video. We'll then do a presentation. We'll explain the vision. And then it's more about, okay, take your time, digest it. Is there anything that you can help us with? So that's kind of what we've gone with. It's just advertising. It's just trying to get out and trying to persuade people to get involved and be enthused about this new change.
I think, yeah, it's a great point. Just to add to that, Steve, is the video piece. Sort of, we talked about it when we were meeting about this, and it's a really engaging way. So if you look at the modern people and the social media sort of world that we live in, everything's about videos now. So it's a really good, quick, easy way, and it really does paint a picture a lot better than words or a presentation. So it's not instead of, but sort of as well of is a really good way to do it, I think.
Yeah, 100%. In terms of, I think there was another question about M&J. So we're still very much a one team club. We're only a senior section, but it is you see in the rugby, it's our goal to open up an M&J, start with an under sevens, and then build up that way. But again, it becomes from, we really need to make sure we've got the infrastructure in place, we've got the long-term planning in place, obviously the safeguarding and everything. So it's a big project, but it's definitely on there.
That was from Gary. Thanks, Gary. There's one more coming from Barbara. Is recruitment and retention of players an issue? If so, what have you done to counter this?
So recruitment and retention has been an issue. I think Birstall was following a lot of the success we had over the last few years. We managed to lose 13 players last year, either through retirement, moving away, moving on in their careers. We've had some short-term success this year in terms of we've built a relationship with the university, so Loughborough University. So a really good outlet there. But yeah, we are longer term. We feel that we've been playing outside of probably above our level, and that's scared a lot of the local members off. And probably level 8 will be a more appropriate level, more sustainable level for us on the pitch. Recruitment is hard. I believe there's another set of webinars on recruitment and retention. It's still not an answer that we're continually evolving. We're trying to come up with ideas to bring more players in. Birstall's being unique in that their recruitment strategy, they haven't really had one. Players have just come to Birstall over the years, so it's a challenge trying to put this plan in place, as I imagine a lot of clubs are finding.
Yeah, great point, Stephen. Thanks for that as well, for plugging our next set of webinars. So yeah, we wrote out today, actually, in a couple of weeks' time, there's some specifically around recruitment and retention of players. There's 2 sessions. One is focused on adult player recruitment and retention, men and women, and the second is on age grade, so for boys and girls. So yeah, if you requested support with this as part of the survey that we sent out from the club developers, then you will have heard about that today. But we will be going, it is an open session. You don't have to have expressed a want to be able to do that. So it will go out to all clubs as well over the next week. There's another one from Tabs. So Tabs has just come in with a question. Tabs is from Nottingham, the University of Nottingham. So will going back to level 8 help in introducing this vision to the club, or is there already a common understanding between the players where the club is trying to progress to?
So it's been, I think it will help. We've had a really tough season this season, so we've almost allowed this we'll turn this into a springboard and put into a narrative, almost like, a Phoenix from the ashes sort of narrative. All the players are involved, are really on board, despite the season that we've had. We have a lot of, we're a lot more positive than you probably would expect a lot of a club in our position. We do think that level 8 is the one. It's where you can start getting a little bit of success, a little bit more enjoyment. You'll get a little bit more buy-in from the playing members. Once you've got a little bit more buy-in from the playing members, you'll then extend out into your non-playing members, and hopefully it will just start. Everyone wants to be a little bit a part of it. So I don't think that the on-field is necessarily drives the off-field. I think it all comes together, but we are trying to tie it into a narrative that kind of gets that buy-in that way. It's just about how you shape your story, isn't it, really?
Perfect, great stuff. Okay, well, again, thanks very much. If you've got any more questions, feel free to pop them in the chat box and we can pick them up at the end when we'll have a bit more time for final Q&A and the wrap up. But once again, thank you, Steve. That was brilliant.
No worries.
So we'll look at now what's involved. So what is involved in actually starting this process? So first and foremost, I think it's really important that you involve your members. So if you involve your members, then you will get buy-in. It's that whole you said, we did sort of scenario. So we could sit as a committee or as a small group of people. Steve could have done that with the guys at Birstall and come up with a vision and come up with an underlying plan of how they're going to deliver it. But it would have been them imposing it onto the rest of the members. And it might have been bang on, but it might not have been what the members wanted. So involving your members from very early on is absolutely key. Ask them what they want their club to look like, and then put a vision and plan together to move towards this. They're far more likely to volunteer to play an active role in helping you deliver the plan if you involve them. So gathering feedback and identifying key themes to create your vision. Talk through gathering your feedback with and identifying common themes that will help you create your vision. So you might get 10 pieces of feedback that all say very similar things. Well, that's definitely something that your members are telling you that they want, so that might well help you to create your vision. A vision without a plan is just a wish. So we could all sit there and we could come up with a vision, but if we don't put an underlying plan as to how we're going to deliver it, then all it is a wish, nothing more. And as I said earlier on, it should be big, it should be aspirational, it should be hard to achieve, just like eating an elephant. So if you need to eat an elephant, how do you do it? You do it one bite at a time. And that's where your plan comes into place. So we build an underlying plan with key metrics and key deliverable points that we can break it down. And it's almost like process goals and results at the top. So the process goal, if you put all the processes into place, then the outcome goal will take care of itself. If we just concentrate on the outcome goal, then it's just too big. It's overwhelming and it'll be difficult to ever achieve. Surveying your members. So really important here for me to say to you that this is just a framework of what we think you might want to ask your members. Please, at this point as well, this is going to be another interactive part, so just a heads up, have a think now over the next couple of minutes while I'm talking through these 5 or 6 that we think. What do you think you might want to ask? Because we'd love to get your input on this as well, because we haven't got all the answers. But the sort of things we think you might want to ask your members. What are the best things about the club currently? So what do people really like? What would you like to see improved about the club? So it's really important that people have got a voice and feel like they can make improvement suggestions. How could we make you feel more included in the club? So making sure that there's a place for everyone, that if people want to volunteer, that they feel they can volunteer. How can we make sure that there's that place for everyone? What do you want the club to look like in 5 years' time? So getting them to help you with that sort of visionary piece of looking forward. What are we going to look like in 5 years' time? What do they want to see? And then really important as well, would you be willing to support the club's development? If you're going to ask this question, please do make sure you ensure you give a way for them to leave their name and contact details. So you can capture that, because then you've got people with a vested interest who have said they want to help deliver. So then you've got more volunteers to come and help you with that. And then lastly, a blank field answer box. We don't want people to just feel like they've been steered towards wherever you want them to go. So having something blank with a question such as, is there anything else you would like to add or suggest, will give people that autonomy to do that. You can do this in any way you like, but there's plenty of free sort of apps or bits out there. Things like Microsoft Forms or Google Forms are really easy to set up. So they're the two that sort of we suggest. We use Microsoft Forms quite a lot. When we did the survey that most of you guys filled out for us, that was just a simple Microsoft Forms, free, easy to use and really intuitive, and helps you to gather that feedback in a really easy way. So over to you. What other potential questions do you think could be good? Again, whether you've posted in the chat box, or again, feel free to come off mute at this point. Are there any other questions that you don't feel that like we've encompassed there that you think would be good to ask members when you're surveying them about your vision and plan? Just give it another 10-15 seconds. No problem if you haven't. We can always you can always pop them in the chat box as we go if not. I've got a couple there, I think. John?
Yeah, one's just popped in. Paul, we'll come back to your question at the end if you don't mind, tied into what Steve spoke about earlier. So we haven't missed out, don't worry. Richard's just put in there, what facilities do you think the club needs?
Okay, perfect. So yeah, what sort of facilities would be a good one? It's certainly going to help steer us. If we're currently a one adult men's team club, and we want to grow, and the vision is that we're going to grow to be an all-encompassing club with women and girls and age grade, then certainly facilities in that sort of situation are going to be really important. So yeah, good point. What facilities do you think the club needs that they haven't got already? That's a great question. Any others? Okay, as I say, feel free to pop them in the chat box if you think of any more, or there'll be sort of 5 minutes at the end. So next steps. First and foremost, we want you to go away from here tonight, talk to your fellow committee members, people at your club, and the first step is create your member survey. So get that member survey created. Set a time limit for completion. So think about how long you want to get it done. All the feedback is complete within good time for next round of sessions. So our next round of sessions will be in the summer, and I'll come on to that in a moment. But if you were to go away and take a week or a couple of weeks to create this now, and then get it out there and give 2, 3, 4 weeks, give a decent amount of time for your members to complete it, and then shout about it. If you've got age grade sections, get it out to the age grade coaches, to the managers, to the team admins, so it goes to all the parents. Get it out to all your senior players, your men's teams, your ladies teams. Get it out to all your supporters, your vice presidents, all the people who don't play anymore but come down. If you've got walking rugby, get it to them. For this to work and for it to be the most valuable it can be, you need to get as wide a range of survey replies as you can. And then stage 2 of our support. So once you have your survey data, we're going to invite you to attend stage 2 sessions. So these are likely to be face-to-face and more local to you, and will bring clubs together to physically start to create your vision and plan. So we envisage this will be early summer, starting sort of from June time, but exact timings will be determined locally, because there's the 5 club developers who will be running those sessions more locally to you in your clubs. So lastly, and we'll cover this more at stage 2, but start to give some thought as to how you will socialise and launch your plan. Steve talked about the video. I think that's a great way of doing it, and I've seen the sort of prototype video that they've put together, and they're still working on it, but it is something else. It's fantastic, and it's a really massively engaging way. I actually sent him a message when he sent it to me saying, where do I sign up? It really is good. Do you have anyone within your club good with technology? Maybe how to create that video to help. Will you do it at an event, a registration day? Pre or early season will be a great time to aim for, as members will be coming back. They're refreshed. They're looking forward to getting back into the club. How can we capitalise on that? And then at the bottom there are some further resources available. So everyone who's attended tonight will get these slides as a set of PDFs over the next few days. And those 2 black boxes there are clickable links, which will take you to a planning resource that one of our team at Twickenham have put together, and also the club health check tool. 8 modules within the health check tool, which once completed give your club a bespoke, customised action plan with links to personalised support. So there's some further resources available to you there.
We have a vision. And what a vision is the ability to see that which cannot be seen. That's why we call it vision. It literally lives in our imaginations. I say, imagine a world. Imagine. Close your eyes. Imagine a world in which the vast majority of people wake up every single morning inspired, feel safe at work, and return home fulfilled at the end of the day. And what you see in your mind's eye is yourself and the people you love having that experience and those feelings. That is a complete figment of your imagination. It is not real. It is the equivalent of an iceberg. That's what vision is. It's being able to see that which no one else can see because it lies beneath. And when we work with a small group of people who say, I believe what you believe, and we will work together, and what ends up happening is a tiny little piece of iceberg pops up, and a couple people go, oh, that's what you mean. Yeah, I'm in. And they join in, and a little more iceberg shows up, and a little more iceberg shows up. And before you know it, everybody goes, it's amazing what you're doing. And you'll say, tip of the iceberg. And the iceberg is huge, and people say, look at all the success you've had. And you'll say, tip of the iceberg. Because that's what it means to wake up every single day to advance a cause. It means that we devote our lives to building that which has not been built, to advancing what has not been advanced, to showing that which is not seen, and not obsessing with the successes we've had and how much iceberg is above the ocean, but how much more work we have to do. And it all started with a tiny little bit of ice sticking above the ocean.
So a really good video there from Simon Sinek about vision. So, final couple of slides. For further support on this, please reach out to your club developer, all of whom are listed here with their email addresses. So Jenna covering NLD, myself for Leicestershire and Staffordshire, John covers North Mids, Patrick covers Warwickshire and part of East Midlands, and then Zoe is the other part of East Midlands with Eastern Counties. We are the 5 people that will be reaching out to you over the next few weeks to offer further support and hopefully host some face-to-face sessions where you'll come with your member survey feedback, and we'll physically start to help you build that vision and plan. Last thing for me to say then is thank you very much for attending. We're going to stay online for a few minutes, so this is that sort of final bit where anyone's got any questions they'd like to ask, then or if we've missed anything in the chat, John's going to let me know now, and we will but once we've done that, then we'll wrap up. So again, thank you very much for your time this evening. Really hope you found the session useful, and we will follow up with the PDFs over the next few days. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers, Tim. So Pewee from the Mighty Droitwich posted in there around the questions that you might ask your member base. How would you encourage participation in the wider community? So obviously some committees might be struggling with that, with a few ideas, but yeah, sort of at Droitwich, sort of, I don't know, 450 members. Some of those might have some really good ideas. So going out to those with that type of question would prove really useful. And then just going back to Steve's presentation from Bristol, Paul asked how many people are needed to do this. He said you mentioned you had 4. Is that enough?
So I would say that,
yeah,
I mean, Steve, I'll let you think about that for a minute and see what you think on that. But I would say that it's a bit like a committee. So if we have 15 people at a committee meeting, then we might struggle to make decisions, and they can become, not always, but they can become a talking shop a little bit. So it's having that key number of people that can drive it but make decisions. 1 or 2 is not enough. I'd say 3, 4 is probably about ideal personally. Steve, have you got anything to add to that from your sort of perspective, having done it mainly with 3 of you?
Yeah, I think it's really important, like you said, to get the balance between that group mind. So if making sure that you're not just 2 people with the same goal, you need enough variation to challenge each other. And so long as you have, be that, 3, 4 people, as long as you have that challenge, which we definitely had in some of our members, that's good, that's healthy, because it could be just one person with one vision. That doesn't speak for the whole club. So, and it avoids this shoehorning in, like as Tim said, the types of questions you ask to stop, creating what's the word? Oh, I forget. Just creating your own narrative rather than the club's is really important. So I would say that 4 is enough. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, you might make use of different people. Like if you have an M&J section, if you have a women's section, you might need to pull them in because they'll have influence over those, be able to share that and be able to get those views in. You make sure you've got enough range across your club, make sure that there's representation.
I think that's a really good point, making sure that for you guys, you sort of, as you said, 1 team club. But if you have got multiple sections within your club, then yeah, having representation would be really useful. So no, I think that's a great point. I'll stop sharing at this point.
Richard, Richard Watkins got his hand up.
John, Tim, have you got a link to where these surveys are? That's one to use, a template one, Microsoft site or something. Or...
The surveys to survey your members?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. So if you just Google Microsoft Forms or Google Forms, that will take you to those. They're just sort of generic forms, and then the questions, the suggested questions, I'll send those out to you in the next couple of days with the they'll be on the PDF. Is that what you're asking? Sorry.
Yeah, just little Google Forms. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, either Google or Microsoft. I use Microsoft Forms. They're pretty good.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Perfect. Well, that's brilliant. Well, once again, thank you ever so much for attending this evening. Really hope you found it useful. And if you've got any questions, please do reach out to your club developer, who will be happy to pick this up with you and support further. But once again, thanks for attending.